player for the Knights. He's led them to 2 state championships, and he does have a big leg. And will it be interesting too? And he's also turned into a decent running back for him.
You know, during the sophomore game, the wind was going the other direction. The flags are now flying away from the scoreboard. The Knights will be kicking into the wind toward the scoreboard, and it's a deep kick, a good kick. It's going to go into the end zone. The referee is going to blow the play dead. So the Bulldogs will start with the ball on offense at the 20-yard line. Randy Scott's 3-1 Bulldogs will take the field. Scott, of course, the offensive line coach for a long time here. Brian, the offensive
Barquist.
Brian Barquist calls the offense. He'll give the play to Ryan Fick. So we're ready for the first play of the game for Assumption and Bettendorf. Bulldogs with the ball. They'll start in the I formation. Jackson will dot the I. Rizzo, the fullback. Fick under center, 1st and 10. He'll drop back, looking down the field. Receiver Ivory open at the 38, and that's where he'll be tackled out of bounds. It'll be 1st and 10 for the Bulldogs.
Well, that's an excellent first play by Bettendorf. They came out with the play-action fake, got a one-on-one coverage, and Ivory really ran a nice route that time and drove off the Assumption defender, and Ryan Fick throws the ball right there. It was a nice play for the Bettendorf Bulldogs.
1st and 10 from the 38 of Bettendorf. Fick under center I formation again. This time on the counter trade. Jackson, plenty of running room across the 40 to the 45, tries to bounce it outside, and will be very close to the first down marker. He's going to be brought down on the play by Matt Finley. And Jackson will have enough for a first down, a gain of 11 yards on the play. It's going to be 1st and 10 for Bettendorf at their own 48. 2 plays, 2 first downs.
Yeah, Bettendorf comes right out in their I formation, Pete, and that's an excellent job of blocking. Their offensive line really got off the ball that time on that counter tray, and you don't want to give Jackson's those size of holes.
1st and 10, Bulldogs, I formation. Jackson docks the I. It'll go to trap play up the middle to Rizzo. Rizzo across the 50 to the 45 to the 40 down to the 38-yard line. Another Bulldog first down, and 1 pass play, a big gainer, and 2 runs. Excellent job by the line blocking.
Yeah, they're doing a real nice job, and that was just a simple inside trap play to the fullback. And once again, their offensive guards for Bettendorf are really doing a nice job with their pulling and trapping, and really those holes are awful big to run through, Pete.
11:15 to play in the first quarter, no score. Bettendorf's first possession of the game. This time Twins to the short side. They'll start Yusef Messiah in motion across the line of scrimmage. Quick pitch goes to Jackson. Penalty flags on the play. Jackson's going to have to gain about 4 yards. This one's probably coming back.
Yeah, Bettendorf came right back with the toss sweep to Jackson. There was a little bit of crease there. They picked up 5 yards. We'll have to see what the penalty is.
I believe illegal shift is going to be called against the Bulldogs. This will take them back 5 yards. Bettendorf in their familiar gold pants and black jerseys with white numbers. And again, the Knights sporting those new all-white uniforms.
All right, now Bettendorf's offensive line of guys like Rickman and Hoffman, Pelzinski, Quinn McVeigh, and Jacob Gableman. They're the starting 5 in there, Pete, and they're good-sized guys, and we saw last week what they did to North's defense, so they're off to a great start so far tonight.
Penalty of moving back 5 yards. It'll be first down and 15, 10:48 to play in the first quarter, no score. Game's first possession. Fick fakes the pitch, and he's going to be under pressure, eludes 2 tacklers, and can't get away from a third. Number 52 brings him down, Ryan Butler. Butler will drop Fick for a loss of about 2 yards on the play. And Butler had to try at him first. Fick got away. Fick got away from another guy. And then Butler came back and got him from the backside.
Yeah, the Butler did it on that play, Pete. Great one-on-one pass rush technique. Got loose, kind of missed the guy, but a good hustle play on the recovery for the sack.
2nd down and 17. Jackson up the middle. Across the 40 to the 35 to the 30. Down to the 25. It'll be another first down for the Bulldogs.
Well, right now what's happening to Assumption's defense, Pete, they're not finding their fits because that time the linebacker stepped in the hole, but he got pinned instead of keeping his outside leverage, and Jackson did a good job of hiding in the hole and popping out. He kind of surprised the Assumption secondary there.
1st and 10 for the Bulldogs. Ball resting on the near hash at the 25-yard line. Now we'll go into the jet sweep formation. They'll fake the jet sweep, but they'll give it to the fullback, Rizzo. Rizzo over a left tackle will have a gain of 3 or 4 yards. So they don't go in the eye, they just go with the single back. They put Jackson in the slot, and they normally start Yusef Messiah, the wideout, in motion down the line of scrimmage, and they always fake it to him on the jet sweep. Sometimes they give it to him, sometimes they don't. But it seemed to be a good formation this year for the Bulldogs.
And for Rizzo, he held on to the ball, and that's a positive for Bettendorf, and they really feel like he can be a very good running fullback for him.
Same formation for the Knights this time. Matt Gowan in motion as he'll take the handoff on the jet sweep across the 20 as he is taken down around the 16-yard line. So a short gain on the second down play is going to leave third down and about 2 for the Bulldogs as Yusef Messiah will check back in for Gowan.
Well, Assumption's defense right now is struggling, Pete. They don't quite know where the ball is, and the other thing is the Bettendorf's offense are just flat out blocking them.
Third and short. Tight formation, I formation. Jackson over right tackle. He's going to be stopped shy of the 15-yard line. That's where he needed to be for the first down. It's going to be fourth down and maybe a yard, maybe less.
Well, Keegan Brennan for Assumption got a little bit of a surge there, which made Jackson pull up a little bit quicker than he wanted to, and then the Assumption defensive line held their own there, Pete. And that was the first time they've had any type of stop so far against Bettendorf.
It's fourth down, and you know the Bulldogs are going to go for it. Fourth and short. From the 16, they need to cross the 15-yard line to get a first down. Tight formation, tight end to the right side, I formation. Rizzo up the gut. Got the first down by a couple of yards. He'll dive forward to the 13-yard line.
The Bettendorf offensive line are just playing lower than the Assumption defensive line, Pete, and that's why they're getting those line surges. The Assumption kids are going to have to learn to stay down and play with their hands.
First down for Bettendorf. Ball right around the 13-yard line, right in the middle of the field. Formation, Jackson and Rizzo in the backfield. Messiah and looks like Gowan split out to the opposite side. Fick turns around, hands it off to Jackson. Jackson tries to bounce it outside. It's going to be brought down on the play. Looks like number 4, Mike Pettis of the Knights.
For a minute there, it looked like a Knight jumped off sides, but he held his position there, Pete. And maybe that's what they need to do to mess up the Bettendorf's blocking scheme, to stem around in there a little bit.
7:37 to play in the first quarter. Still the game's first drive. No score. Bettendorf took over at their 20-yard line, and they are on the 10-yard line of the Knights. It's second down and 7. I formation. Fick under center. He'll fake the handoff. He'll roll out to the wide side of the field. He's going to tuck it under, but he's going to be hit hard on the play right near the 10-yard line. Tackled by Ted Bentler on the play for the Knights.
Yeah, Bentler came from inside. That was a good job again. Good pressure there by Casey Rice. He pulled Fritz up, Frick up, and he had to hustle on that play, Pete, and another sack for the Knights.
So third down and 8 for the Bulldogs. I formation. Fick under center. He'll take a 2-step drop. The slant pass into the end zone. No good. Intended for Messiah. And he had his hands on the ball. The coverage was nice and tight on the play by Matt Finley.
Yeah, Matt did a good job there because it looked like they had inside position on him. He had a good ball break. He made a nice physical tackle that separated the ball.
Looks like Chris Mahoski will be in to try what will amount to be a 27-yard field goal attempt right in the middle of the field. Mahoski set out last week's game with a strained muscle in his leg. This kick is up. Wow. It's high enough. It is good. Mahoski from 27 yards gets the Bulldogs on the scoreboard. It's 3-0 from Bettendorf. Bettendorf 3, Assumption 0. It's MAC football here on WOC Talk Radio 1420.
3, Assumption Knights 0.
Chris Mahosky nails a 27-yard field goal at the 6:33 mark on the game's first possession as Bettendorf takes a 3-0 lead. Donnie Connor in to do the kickoff duties. He'll squib it down. It's going to hit an Assumption player right near the 26-yard line, and that's where the Knights will fall on it. Number 27 falls on it for the Knights. That is Austin Mayfield. So Assumption's first drive will start at their own 27-yard line. It'll be 1st and 10 for the Knights.
Well, Pete, I was really impressed with Mahosky's field goal there. He looks like his leg is very healthy because he drained that one, had excellent height on it.
The Knights will go with the I formation. Michael Mitchell, the tailback. He'll take the handoff up the middle. A lot of running room across the 30 to the 35 to the 40. Breaks a tackle down the sideline across the 50 to the 45 to the 30-yard line of the Bulldogs. And in talking with Wade King this week, he knew a change was coming, and that was the I formation. And he's really not in favor of running in the I, but with a talent like Mitchell, you almost have to.
Yeah, he showed excellent speed there, Pete. And what was interesting there is that was Anger, the guy that we like at linebacker, had great speed from his middle linebacker spot. And if he doesn't make that play, he would have been in the end zone.
This time, Assumption will go back to Jerry Teal's 4-receiver set with the lone fullback in the backfield. That is Ted Bentler. He'll pick up a blocker. Down the sideline, the pass is going to be tipped away near the 2-yard line. Nicely on the play by Gowan. Intended receiver was number 24, Mike Brandner, coming from the quarterback, Conklin.
Well, when you throw the fade route, Pete, you really want that ball to be long and not short. You're taught to throw it over the defensive back's outside shoulder. Conklin threw that a little bit short. If he throws that ball where it is, they had a chance for a catch.
I formation, 3-receiver set for the Knights. Mitchell dots the I with Bentler, the fullback. Joe Conklin under center, 2nd down and 10, as the left tackle moves a little bit too early for the Knights. That'll move him back 5 yards on the play.
That was old John Hyland. He was all fired up there, Pete, and he decided to maybe get a little extra jump on that play, but unfortunately he got caught, and it's a 5-yard penalty for the Knights.
You know what? For those of you who were at the Muscatine Assumption game, this is what Assumption did. They get inside the 30-yard line, and they get a penalty or two, and they would move back, and it was forcing them to kick field goals. They ended up losing by a touchdown, and ultimately just too many of those little short 5-yard penalties cost them. They'll go back to the spread formation. Fumble on the play, and Bettendorf has got it. As Mitchell and Conklin collided in the backfield, the ball was loose, and Tommy Langford came up with the fumble recovery in the Assumption backfield. So the Bulldogs will take over at their own 40-yard line.
Well, those things happen in high school football. Assumption's using a lot of different formations already, Pete, and the timing on that play just wasn't there. Had a collision, and the only guy close to the ball was the Bettendorf defensive lineman.
I formation for the Bulldogs, who lead 3-0. Jackson up the middle. Breaks through the line, has a gain of about 8 or 9 yards on the play. It's going to be 2nd down and short here at the 5:40 mark of the first quarter.
Well, so far, the Bettendorf offensive line have been very dominating. They're beating the Assumption kids off the line. And if you give Jackson a crease, Pete, we know that he's going to get you something, and he's a very good back.
2nd down and 2 from the 48 of Bettendorf. Bulldogs with the ball, I formation. Pitch will go to Jackson. Jackson's going to throw the halfback option pass. It's a wounded duck, and it was intended for Messiah. It falls to the ground. There were 3 Knights converging on the play, but no one could make the play.
Well, that's a great call. And the reason why, Pete, when Bill Walsh and all those guys were writing those books on offensive football, they said if you had trick plays, show them first. And if you have a reverse, get it in there, and that was a halfback pass. They've shown the sweep already once or twice in the game, and that's a good, good call on 2nd and short for the Bulldogs. Just didn't, Assumption's defense handled it.
3rd down and 2 for the Bulldogs. Jackson up the middle.
Wow.
Oh, nailed behind the line of scrimmage. He's going to lose a yard on the play. Nice play by number 52, Ryan Butler.
Yeah, Ryan Butler did it again, but also Mike Craddock was the one that actually just put the wallop on him, and that was an excellent fill. But Butler did a good job at denting the Bettendorf offense.
So Donnie Connor will come in for his first punt attempt of the game. Back deep for the Knights, number 32, Ben Ehrman. And it looks like Mitchell will accompany him also. Connor takes the snap, puts his foot into it. It's a low spiral. Mitchell will catch it at his 10. And he's going to try and stretch the field out. He'll cross the 10 to the 15, and he's going to be nailed on the play by a couple of Bulldogs led by Jake Carter and Pat Anger.
No, it was Luke Andrusek. Carter and Andrusek, great cover that time. And, you know, Mitchell is exciting, but that time he just ran out of blockers, and the Bettendorf defenders had a nice hit on him.
So 1st and 10 for the Knights on their second possession, this one from the 13-yard line. They go with the I formation with a slot. Slot guy, Ehrman, will come down the line of scrimmage. Mitchell with the ball, dances at the line of scrimmage, is not going to get anywhere. He's going to be wrapped up by Anger and Jay Carter.
Well, right now the difference between Jackson and Mitchell is Jackson can make that cut on the run where Mitchell had to completely stop. He saw the hole, Pete, but he just couldn't get to it, and Bettendorf defense did a good job of recovering on the cutback.
Maybe we should take this second and say hello to Cliff Anger.
Yeah, Cliff helped us out.
Yeah, he said hi to us on the way in, said he'd be listening tonight. So his son's doing a great job for the Bulldogs tonight. Spread formation. Ehrman on the counter play. Nothing. Stood up at the line of scrimmage. Probably or may lose a yard on the play. And this is what Assumption has had some problems doing thus far this season, is running the football out of that spread formation, John.
Well, what Bettendorf really likes is Tommy Langford kid has really done a nice job for him. They move him around from defensive tackle to defensive end. He played a little linebacker last week, and he's all over the field. And they like the matchup when he comes in at tackle because his quickness is so much better than most offensive linemen in the league.
4 receiver set, 2 on both sides of the formation. Bentler, the fullback, gets the ball up the middle, and on 3rd and 11, that's it for the Knights. About a yard and a half gain for Bentler. So Bettendorf's Assumption's going to have to punt from inside their 5-yard line. Tim Jackson will trot back to his own 45-yard line for the Bulldogs. In the punt, number 24 for the Knights, Mike Brantner. Brantner at the 1-yard line.
That was all Bettendorf's defense on that series, starting from the way they covered the punt and handled the run.
Brantner's punt's a good one. High spiraling kick. Jackson takes it at the 40. He's got a lot of running room, and he is going to be across the 50 to the 45, and he's going to be tackled out of bounds right near the 42-yard line, right by the Bettendorf bench. We'll credit number 70 on the tackle, Steve Friedrich.
Number 8, John Powers.
Well, Joe Huxham had a shot for a big tackle there, Pete, and what young kids don't understand, you got to run your legs through the tackle. You can't dive, and Jackson's very quick-footed, and if you leave your feet on him, he's going to leave you.
2:31 to play in the first quarter, 3-0 the score. Bulldogs on top of the Knights behind a Chris Mahosky 27-yard field goal midway through the first quarter. 1st and 10. They'll run a counter play to Jackson. Jackson across the 40, down to the 36-yard line. It's going to be 2nd down for the Bulldogs.
Yeah, Bettendorf's just running their misdirection there, Pete. But also, what I'd like to do right now is thank the 11th Street Bar and Grill, home of the famous Tenderloin, for sponsoring MAC Conference football. And L&W Betting. Rest easier, Quad Cities at L&W Betting.
2nd down and 5 for the Bulldogs. Offset I formation. It's their Jet Series formation. They'll go with Rizzo up the middle. Nice size hole, but he's going to be taken down shy of the 1st down marker. So it's going to be 3rd down and short for the Bulldogs.
Well, Assumption defense did a good job. Looked like there was going to be a big hole, but Keegan Brennan ended up closing it up along with John Highland. John Highland's Assumption doesn't have a ton of kids going both ways anymore, Pete, and John Highland's one of them that does.
3rd down and 2. We'll go with the offset I again. Rizzo, the fullback. Jackson, the slot. Messiah in motion down the line of scrimmage. Rizzo up the middle, and looks like he has probably got the 1st down. Fans, if you're out at another ball game tonight listening to us, we thank you for listening. If you got a cell phone on you, go ahead and give Jeremy a call in the studio. We'd like to hear your score from the game you're at. The phone number at the WOC studio is 344-7040. As the referees take time out for a measurement.
And Pete, we'd sure like to thank Mississippi Valley Regional Blood Center, the lifeblood of our community. Home Hardware, Davenport's oldest and best hardware store. Listen to the Hardware Guys show tomorrow morning on WOC at 9:30 a.m.
Jeff Miller doing a great job over at Home Hardware on West 37th Street as Chain gang comes out. It's going to be a first down for the Bulldogs.
First down, Bulldogs.
Well, Bettendorf keeps things going, putting the pressure on the Assumption defensive line. And one thing Assumption probably doesn't want is their defense out in the field a lot tonight, Pete.
First and 10 for the Bulldogs. They'll go back to the I formation. This time a 3-receiver set, twins to the far side with a single receiver to the near side. Jackson up the middle, breaks the tackle across the 25 to the 20 down to the 15-yard line. That's just straight ahead power football, and the Knights are having a hard time stopping it.
Yeah, they are. That's a pure ISO play, and the linebackers for Assumption, when you get an ISO play right at you, you've got to go take that on the other side of the line of scrimmage and force Jackson to bounce. But they're not attacking it, and that's why Jackson's finding these big holes tonight.
First and 10 with 1 minute to play in the quarter. Bulldogs already up 3-0. Ball at the 15-yard line of Assumption. Assumption goes with a 6-man front. Pitch will go to Jackson. Jackson some running room around left end, and he's going to be taken down at the 2-yard line, pursuing on the play. Number 2, Matt Finley, and I believe 52, Ryan Butler.
Yeah, Butler and Finley have done a lot of the tackling here tonight. Finley does a nice job of coming up from his cover corner spot and putting hits on. And Butler, at that defensive end, he does a solid job, Pete, of just using his hands and coming off blocks and making plays for the Knights.
Second down and 5, 20 seconds to play in the quarter. I formation, 3-receiver set. Fick will drop back to pass, looks into the flat, hits Messiah at the 7. Messiah down to the 1-yard line.
Well, Assumption looked confused that time, Pete, in their secondary. It looked like they lined up the wrong way. They got outflanked on the out route there, and that's just a good throw and catch for the Bulldogs. That was an awful easy play for Bettendorf.
First and goal from the 1. They'll start the clock. Bettendorf doesn't have to do anything here. They're going to let the quarter run out. We'll take a 1-minute timeout. Our score after 1, Bettendorf 3, Assumption 0. It's MAC football here on WOC Talk Radio 1420. Our score after 1 quarter, Bettendorf 3, Assumption 0, but the Bulldogs are at the 1-yard line to start the second quarter. As the Knights defense breaks out of the huddle, Assumption will stay in the I formation, a 2-receiver set with Rizzo and Jackson in the backfield. Ryan Fick under center as the referees start the play clock. Tight formation for the Bulldogs. Rizzo up the middle and not into the end zone. So it'll be second down and goal from, boy, real close to the goal line.
He got knocked back there a little bit, and Assumption stopped his initial surge, but now it's right down at about the 2-inch line for the Bulldogs, and this is usually the part of the field you should score from, Pete, when you're
Right.
6 inches away.
Second down and goal. Again, the I formation, and the line splits are about not even an inch wide for the Bulldogs. They'll go with Jackson up the middle. He's going to be hit in the backfield, and he might have lost a little bit on the play.
Number 32.
Nice job by the front 5 of Assumption. Nice line surge.
Well, they lost some yardage that time, Pete. They knocked him back to about a foot away now, and that was a good job by Assumption. Down here, it's just a matter of who gets their pads the lowest. Don't be surprised, though, if Bettendorf doesn't try, some form of a little bit of an outside run this time.
Third down and goal from the 1. I formation. Jackson on the option. Fick will keep it himself, and he'll walk into the end zone. So to start the second quarter, Ryan Fick, a 1-yard touchdown run, puts the Bulldogs up 9-0.
Well, Bettendorf doesn't run a lot of option, Pete, but option football is very good down by the goal line because everybody's pinching in. And if the quarterback finds that crease like Brian Fick did, he walked in, and if Assumption attacks him, he pitches it and they walk in. So a great call for the Bettendorf Bulldogs.
Donnie Connor now in to try the extra point, not Chris Mahosky.
Well, maybe they're having a kickoff tonight, Pete.
Yeah. Connor's extra point is good. So now our score 10-0, Bettendorf leading. We'll see if Connor does the kickoff, or it is. No, it's going to be Mahosky. Looks like we're just kind of trading off here. It's good to have two good kickers. I mean, that's what they have.
And they did. Last week, I told you that last week that I thought Connor did a nice job, but he also punted the ball very well and things like that. Maybe the way the wind's blowing, Mahosky, I don't think is going to squib it here. He has a big, strong leg and gets good height on the ball. So, but they also probably, with the speed Assumption has back there in Mitchell and Ehrman, I'm sure they may not want to kick to either one of those guys either. Well, Assumption better step it up here pretty soon, Pete, because right now it's been all Bettendorf Bulldogs, and they've really have dominated this game, especially in their line play.
Mitchell and Irwin back deep at the 5-yard line for the Knights. Mahosky will walk his steps off, ball teed up at the far hash at the 40-yard line. He's going to be kicking toward the scoreboard here at Tuvell Stadium, and he'll approach the ball, put his foot into it. It's high and it's short, really short. It's going to go out of bounds. Ew. And it's going to go out of bounds at the 10-yard line. Mahosky did not get a good one there, as Randy Scott with both hands on his hips. Ooh, he's yelling. He is not happy whatsoever with Chris Mahosky.
Well, Pete, they put the ball in the middle of the field, and then he cross-kicked it. And I'm really a believer that if you want to pin a team into the boundary, that you got to be able to kick from the hash mark to be able to do that. That's a tough kick, and I think they tried to either pooch it in there or squib it in there like they've done, most of their kickoffs. But he just didn't execute that one. Good field position for the Knights.
So Assumption will get the ball at their own 35-yard line, and they will come out in a double slot formation as quarterback will roll out. Conklin throws it, and no one's out there. I'm not quite sure what that play was. I'm not quite sure the fullback knew what was going on the play.
Well, first of all, Pete, they put either twins or trips in the boundary, and they sprinted into the boundary, which all of a sudden you run out of room into the boundary. There isn't a lot of room to operate. And Bettendorf's defense, again, did a great job of putting pressure on them. That was Parker Quell. Parker played an excellent game last week against Central, and he's a very good edge player. Does a good job with the pass rush.
Second down and 10 for the Knights. Fennelly was split out to the near sideline. Two slots, Mitchell, the lone running back. Conklin will give it to Mitchell. Mitchell will sprint out, try to bounce it out to the sideline, but he's going to be wrapped up on the play. And it's going to be 3rd and long for the Knights.
Well, what I think Assumption's running into now is the Bettendorf defense keeps getting better, and they have some very quick guys in their defensive front and also at linebacker with Anger and Langford. Both of them have excellent speed, and Assumption's having a very tough time moving the ball at all in Bettendorf.
3rd down and 11, 10:15 to play in the first half. Bulldogs 10, Knights 0. John, our halftime guest tonight, Luke Feddersen of IowaPreps.com.
I think the ceiling's tall enough to get Luke in here, Pete. Otherwise, we had to put an extension on it.
3rd and 11 for the Knights. Mitchell on the pitch. To the sidelines, he's going to have a first down as he crosses the 35, and that's just pure speed there.
And, the one thing Assumption's got to learn how to do, if they're downfield blockers, stay with their blocks long enough, this guy can break them, and they're just kind of, falling off a little bit too quick, and they're making tackles on Mitchell. But if Mitchell gets one more block, he's in the end zone again. He's definitely their big play back for Assumption.
And really, he might be their only big play threat on the team. Last year, they had so many weapons. And Mitchell got a little bit of playing time in some of the games that we did. This time a 3-receiver set, I formation. Bettler, the fullback, and he'll get the ball over left tackle, and he'll plunge ahead for a gain of about 3 yards. Ball's going to be spotted right near the 50-yard line. 9.5 to play in the first half. 10-0 the score. Bulldogs on top.
That's a good first down play for Assumption. You got the big Bentler kid in the backfield. You can't just keep giving him Mitchell. You got to mix it up a little bit, and a dive play for 3 or 4 yards, a good start for the Knights.
2nd down and 7 from the 49 of the Knights. A 3-receiver set, I formation in the backfield. Joe Conklin runs. I think that might be a broken play, but he's going to break a couple of tackles. He'll get back to the line of scrimmage. That didn't look good.
No, it really didn't. That was just quarterback sprint. But if, right away the ball was tucked, Bettendorf outflanked him. Joe had no place to go. He did the right job of cutting it back. But Bettendorf's defense very quick, and they've taken away all the cutbacks on Assumption so far tonight.
Iowa Hawkeye fans, your big game tomorrow. Kickoff 2:30, pregame around 12:30 with Jim Albrecht. Right here on WOC as the Hawkeyes host the Wolverines. A rare 2:30 kickoff for the Hawkeyes. 3rd down and 8. Conklin rolls out to the wide side of the field. He's going to be thrown to a receiver open down the sideline, caught at the 30-yard line, taken out of bounds at the 25 of the Knights. It looks like number 32, Ben Ehrman, on the reception.
Well, Ben Ehrman has legitimate speed, Pete. He was a young guy that had a knee injury last year, came back, and he's a very good baseball player for Assumption also. They just ran like a trade route there, crisscross route. He went up the boundary, and very good job by Joe Conklin because he was getting hit in the face that time when he was throwing the ball.
1st and 10 for the Knights. 8:16 to play in the half, and they could use a touchdown here. They are at the 29-yard line of Bettendorf in the I formation. Mitchell on the pitch. Oh, beautiful play in the backfield, taken down for a 5-yard loss. I think that's Jake Carter on the play. He squirted through the line and managed to trip up Mitchell.
It looked like Ehrman that time just missed his block. Carter out-quicked him, beat him inside, and that was just all an individual play by Carter that time, Pete.
Second down and 17, so they lost 7 on the play. As the Knights are a little mixed up, and they're going to call a timeout. I don't think Mitchell knew what was going on, and that doesn't make Jerry Teal happy, although we'll take a 1-minute break. Our score, Bettendorf 10, Assumption 0. It's MAC football here on WOC Talk Radio 1420. 2nd down and 17 after the timeout by the Knights. They were mixed up on their formation. Joe Conklin takes a timeout. He'll roll out to the right side, and have a receiver, and it's dropped on the play. It would have been nice for about a 12-yard gain and maybe more. I think Matt Finley just had the ball go right through his hands, the perfect spot for the ball to be.
Well, Joe Conklin had an excellent read that time. He looked deep to short, and Finley was wide open, got the ball to him, and Finley tried to turn up the boundary without the ball, and that's a big drop for Assumption because now instead of having 2nd and 5 or 6, now they're at 3rd and 15, Pete.
John, an update from Wrigley Field. Bottom of the 1st, no score.
Is that 0-0?
0-0.
0-0. Good job.
3rd down and 17 for the Knights. Conklin will roll out under heavy pressure. He's going to be taken down hard on the play. Looks like the combination of Jake Carter and Luke Andrews brought him down there.
Well, they came with an 8-man blitz, played man-to-man coverage behind it. Assumption couldn't pick up the pressure, and that was just Joe had nothing to do but take the sack. Great job by the Bettendorf defense of getting after him. Good call by by Aaron Wiley, defensive coordinator.
Punting for the Knights, a little pooch punt down the sideline. The ball's going to go out of bounds at the 18-yard line. Not quite what the Knights wanted to do, but inside the 20 will be fine. The punter on the play was Mike Brantner. And again, we've seen the Knights go down to the 25 to 30-yard line, and instead of going forward, they just go backward.
Yeah, they really do. The drop right there was a huge play for them. The one thing that you're seeing with Bettendorf, Pete, is that they're staying in that I formation. They have their 3 or 4 plays that they execute out of there, and then they get into their jet sweep series, which they have their 3 or 4 plays. And the Bettendorf offensive line, what I've seen so far since the beginning of the year, they're vastly improved.
1st and 10 for the Bulldogs at their own 16, 17-yard line. Fink to Jackson at the 32. Jackson across to the 35-yard line. Good execution from the Bulldogs.
That was just a great play-action fake by Ryan Fick, which holds the linebackers, Pete. In that area where that ball's thrown is linebacker coverage area, and that's tough on a free safety to have to be able to play deep on the post route and then come up and attack the curl, and Assumption lost their linebackers off the play-action fake.
1st and 10 again for the Bulldogs, this time from their own 35-yard line. I formation, Rizzo up the middle on the trap play. Nothing brewing. He'll be stood up at the line of scrimmage. It'll be second down and 10. Illinois fans, your game tomorrow at Purdue is not on television. You can hear it on AM 1270 WKBF. Kickoff at 2:30. Again, Illinois at Purdue. A game that is not being televised will be on our sister station AM 1270 WKBF tomorrow at 2:30. Second down and 10 for the Bulldogs. Another I formation. Rizzo and Jackson in the backfield. Two receivers. Fick, good fake. He'll keep it himself, and he's going to be off the races for a nice gain. It's about a 14-yard gain. He'll have a first down. He faked the handoff, turned around, and saw that there were a couple of Knight defenders in his backfield, and he took off, and no one was around.
Yeah, they tried to come back to a route where they completed early in the game to Ivory off the play action. Assumption did a great job of covering it. Where Assumption defensive line has got to do, you got to find the quarterback. You got to continue to chase him, and Fick just out-hustled him on that play.
First and 10, I formation. Up the middle goes the tailback, and I don't think that was Jackson. I think that is Jake Carter, the fullback or the linebacker, getting some work at tailback. I think we saw that last week.
Yeah, I think they're doing a good job of mixing guys. We saw Jackson a little bit on defense last week on big downs, and Carter playing some tailback. And if you look at Carter, he is a physical guy, and he's also shows up on defense too for the Bulldogs. And Assumption's got to have a stop here on this series, or they're going to be in a little bit of trouble.
5.5 to play in the half. 10-0 the score. Bettendorf on top. They'll go with a 3-receiver set with the I formation. Fick, two-step drop, hits Gowan at the 40-yard line to the 35 to the 30 before he is brought out of bounds. And I attended Assumption's practice on Wednesday, and the whole first half of practice, they were working on the pass plays of Bettendorf, and the defensive backs were kind of having a hard time getting it down, and things haven't gotten better from what I saw at practice the other day.
No, they struggled last week against Central for a little bit, and then now they're having a hard time just getting lined up.
Yeah. I formation, Carter right up the middle, plenty of running room to the 20, to the 15, to the 10, the 5, give him 6. Jake Carter, a 29-yard touchdown run.
But right now, Pete, the Assumption defensive line is not getting set. Bettendorf just coming right after him. Bettendorf's running a heck of a lot of plays already this first half, and their good mixture of play-action pass and running game right now has been a big factor, and they have taken control of the game early in this game, Pete.
Donnie Connor will be in to try his second extra point of the game. Snap, the hold, the kick, it's up, looks good from here. It is good, 17-0 the score. Bettendorf takes the lead over Assumption. Let's pause for a break. Bettendorf leads 17-0. It's MAC football here on WOC Talk Radio 1420. Squib kick by Donnie Carter, and an awful good one. The ball bounces all around, and Ben Irwin finally gets it at the 10-yard line, moves ahead about 4 yards before he is trampled on the play by a host of Bulldog tacklers. It'll be first down and 10 for the Knights. Trail 17-0 with 5 minutes to go here in the second quarter to Bettendorf.
Bettendorf's offensive line this first quarter and a half, you got to give them a lot of credit, Pete, because they are doing a super job of handling the Knights.
3-receiver set, actually 4-receiver set, as the Bulldogs bring everybody, and that's going to be a quarterback sack all the way down to the 5-yard line. So it's going to be second down and long for the Knights, as the Bulldogs brought the house on that play, and Assumption just couldn't handle it.
Well, what Aaron Wiley found out is on their last series, when they brought 8 guys, Assumption didn't have enough guys to block them. And so he starting to feel comfortable now with his man-to-man defense. So you're going to see 7-8 man blitzes the rest of the night by the Bulldogs until Assumption can pick them up.
Second down and 17. I guess they're going to rule him dead at the 7-yard line, so not as big as a loss as I thought. I formation, Bentler and Mitchell in the backfield, 3-receiver set. Joe Conklin under center. They give it to Mitchell. Mitchell, nothing. Stood up at the line of scrimmage. And just like that, it's going to be third and long for the Knights.
Well, they always say football's won in the trenches, and the trenches right now are owned by the Bettendorf Bulldogs. Bettendorf defense continues to swarm, Pete. It brings up 3rd and 15, 3rd and 16. And Assumption's offense, they had 2 nice drives early where they drove inside the 30, had a penalty, had a drop ball, and now Bettendorf's got them buried back by the goal line.
Just think if they would have gotten points. 3rd down and 17, 3:40 to play in the first half. Conklin rolls out, stops, reverses field, comes back the other way, and doesn't quite get back to the original line of scrimmage. It'll be 4th down for the Knights, and they're going to have to punt it away.
Well, they're trying to run that sprint out play, but the Bettendorf defensive ends are doing a good job of pulling up Conklin, and I'm sure they worked on that all week. So now Joe has to find the scramble lane, and Bettendorf's defense is extremely quick. They're very fast. Their middle linebacker really does a nice job, and the Anger kid. And right now, like I said, the Bettendorf's line are dominating both sides of the ball.
Fans, don't forget about Monday Night Football over on Fox Sports Radio, 12:30. This week's game, Indianapolis at Tampa Bay. That's right around 8 o'clock Monday night over on Fox Sports Radio, 12:30. Also, hear every Major League Baseball playoff game over on Fox Sports Radio. From here until the end of the World Series, that's every Major League playoff game on Fox Sports Radio. Tim Jackson at the 45-yard line. Into punt for Assumption is Brantner. He'll be standing at his own 1-yard line. Good snap. Brantner's going to be blocked on the play. It's going to be recovered in the end zone by, it looks like, the Knights. It's going to be a safety for Bettendorf.
Wow. They just really came in pressure that time, and it looked like it might have been Anger and Andruzak. Those guys really came hard. They got good speed. Might have been Carter there too. And they had 2 or 3 guys in that block position. Super job that time. And that was a good snap too. They just broke loose, and I wasn't sure if it was Andruzak. It looks like they're the one that everybody's jumping around with, so we'll give him credit for it. But once again, these guys, Andruzak, Carter, Tommy Langford, and Anger, they're all over the field here, and they've got great quickness. The other thing you got to be concerned right now, Pete, is I'm going through the Bettendorf lineup. You look at this offensive line that are playing a great game so far. Greg Reckman, Jr., Dan Hoffman, Jr., Nick Pelzelski, Jr., Quinn McVeigh, Jr., and Jacob Gableman, the only senior on their offensive line. Then you add Fick and Jackson. You know, they've got 15, 16 juniors playing a lot of football for the Bettendorf Bulldogs.
The Knights have just as many juniors as well, John.
So both teams, with young kids, but Bettendorf's getting it done.
Matt Brumfield will tee it off at his own 20-yard line for the Knights.
Back deep, we have
Ivory back deep at his own 25. Again, because of the safety, they move it back to the 20-yard line. 19-0 the score. Bulldogs on top of the Knights. 3:18 to play in the first half. Brumfield's kick. It's a pretty good one. It's going to go right to Ivory. Ivory has trouble with it, but regains possession at the 25. He's going to reverse his field and try and take it upfield and back around the other way, and not much going on as he crosses the 35-yard line to the 36.
Well, Assumption's defense got to come up with a takeaway, Pete. They need a big break, a fumble, a sack, something to get them excited to get on defense and get Bettendorf's offense out of sync.
So it'll be 1st and 10 for the Bulldogs, who already lead 19-0 with 3:10 to play. Boy, if they can get another one in here, this would
get a little ugly.
Seal a deal.
It'll be tough.
1st and 10, I formation, 3 receiver set. Fick back to pass. And he's going to be taken down on the play by Ryan Butler from behind. And he'll be taken down right near the line of scrimmage.
Right now the Assumption defense has been Ryan Butler. He's doing a great job. He had a very good junior year. He looks a little fired up, and he's getting mad out there, and I know he wants to make a play to try and get Assumption, back into this game.
2nd down and 11. Loss of 1 on the play. 3 receiver set. I formation in the backfield. Fick to Jackson. Jackson to the right side. Trying it. Not much doing. He gets back to the original line of scrimmage. And the Bulldogs are faced with a 3rd and 10. Clock running. 2:20 to play in the first half. They lead 19-0.
Tony Judd for the Knights.
Assumption has had a couple of long drives, but they've been penalized inside the red zone, and they've come away with nothing.
You know, they're going to. This is a big play for the Assumption defense, and a big play, you know, for Bettendorf's offense. If they can, you know, convert this, they're back in control.
3rd and 10. Fick, deep drop back, decides to tuck it under, and reverses field, breaks a tackle across the 40-yard line. You know, he's a pretty tough runner for a quarterback, but he's going to be far shy of the first down marker, so Donnie Carter will have to come in to punt it away.
And once again, you know, Butler for Assumption did a good job. Started his pass rush. Fick started scrambling, and for a minute there, it looked like he was going to lose contain, but he bounced back outside, forced Fick back inside, and a host of Assumption's pursuit guys came and tackled Fick. That was a big play for Assumption.
I got a feeling Randy Scott is not pleased with those last 3 offensive plays for
and Assumption
Bulldogs.
Played those downs, you know, a lot better. Here's a fake.
Fake punt option.
And nobody's there.
To Connor, and Connor's got a lot of running room to the 50, to the 40 as he breaks Mitchell's tackle down to the 36-yard line. And on 4th and 7, not like 4th and 1 and 2, but 4th and 7 from their own 35-yard line. They pull off to Donnie Connor, who so far is maybe the MVP of the game tonight, the punter.
Yeah, he is. And one thing, what you see about Randy Scott, you get a 19-0 lead, you can try a few more plays, Pete. And obviously they saw something on the way Assumption lined up to defend their punt. And excellent call, surprise play by the Bulldogs.
Rizzo on the trap up the middle, 35 to the 30-yard line. It's going to be 2nd down and 4. Clock running, though, under a minute to go. And Bettendorf's going to go with their hurry-up offense. At the line, no huddle, 2nd down and 3, 45 seconds to play in the half. They lead 19-0. Assumption still moving around on defense. Fick back to pass.
I know.
Open over the middle is Messiah, but he drops the football at the 5-yard line. He was covered on the play by Brumfield. Brumfield was just a step behind him, but he must have gotten a finger or an arm up to knock the ball away from that's Ivory.
Well, in this situation, you know, Assumption secondary, Pete, there was no help inside, and Ivory's a tough guy to cover one-on-one, and that was just a quick seam route, and he just dropped it.
On 3rd down, Fick up the middle, close to the first down marker. He was flushed out the pocket, and Bettendorf's going to be forced to use a timeout. I believe their first timeout. I think they have 2 left. It's going to be 4th down. He's going to be about a yard shy of the first down marker.
You know, right now Bettendorf has used basically 3 formations, Pete. They use their I pro, I twins, and their jet sweep. And then when they go to their 2-minute offense, their 4th formation is their 2x2, 2 receivers to each side. And Assumption still confused a little bit with their linebackers on where they match up with. And you can't get beat down the middle like that, especially when you know when a team's running a 2-minute offense. Well, Pete, let's thank a few of our sponsors here.
Yes.
We have Judy's Barber Styling, Cumberland Square Mall, Bettendorf, Brebiesco and Associates, experts in personal injury law, and IowaPreps.com. Log on for the inside scoop to the Iowa high school sports scene, IowaPreps.com.
So it'll be 4th down and 2, 29 seconds remaining. Bulldogs ahead 19-0. They are at the Knights' 29-yard line after the long fake punt run by Donnie Connor of the Bulldogs. So big play on 4th down. If the Knights can hold them, that's a little bit of momentum for them as they head into the locker room. I formation, Jackson, Rizzo, Fick the quarterback under center. He'll roll out. It's going to throw a fade, and it's going to be too far for Yusef Messiah. And the ball is going to be turned over on downs. Curious call?
Yeah, all the good things I've said about Bettendorf tonight, Pete, I'm taking this one back because you got 4th and 2, 4th and 3. That's still a rundown. And, you know, I'm thinking play action fake there because, you know, you're going to get those linebackers being aggressive in high school and attacking it. And, you know, probably the play action off the eye, which has been good for Bettendorf all night, probably would have been a better call.
1st down and 10 for the Knights. We'll see what they do with 23 seconds left. And they're going to run Mitchell. Mitchell eludes 1 and 2 tacklers, but it's going to be twisted and dragged down on the play. The clock, he'll stay in bounds, so the clock's going to keep running, so Assumption doesn't have to run another play. Hopefully we'll be chatting with Luke Feddersen, I believe, of IowaPreps.com, if he can make his way up. I think that's him right there on the track. Is that not right?
Yeah, looks like Luke. Yeah, he's about 6'7".
Hopefully he'll make his way up to the press box. We'll talk about the Iowa high school athletic scene and what it pertains to around here in the Quad Cities. Our halftime score, all Bulldogs, 19-0. We'll put 15 minutes on the clock. We'll take a 2-minute timeout. It's Bettendorf 19, Assumption 0 at the half. It's MAC football here on WOC Talk Radio 1420. Look over some halftime stats, and the most glaring one in favor of the Bulldogs is basically total yards. 240 total yards for Bettendorf on 178 on the ground and 62 through the air, while Assumption is just with 68 offensive yards, 28 on through the air and 40 on the ground. John, Assumption's only run 19 plays. Bettendorf is at 38 plays.
And if you look at Assumption's offense, Mitchell's one of his first runs of the game was probably for 40 yards, Pete. So they've lost some yardage since then. And then also the other thing, Assumption had a fumble, which Bettendorf recovered on one of their drives. Assumption had a big drop pass that would have made would have continued their drive. And then also the block kicked that set up the 2 points. Another big play for the Bulldogs.
Individually, Assumption led by Michael Mitchell, 7 carries, 52 yards. For the Bulldogs, Tim Jackson, 11 carries, 69 yards. Sean Rizzo, 8 carries, 33 yards. And the quarterback, Ryan Fick, 7 carries for 15 yards. Ivory had a reception for 18 yards. Jackson had a reception for 17 yards. And Gowan had a reception for 18 yards. As Fick was 4 of 8 for 62 yards, and Joe Conklin 1 of 4 for 28 yards. And Wade King and his staff at Assumption had its work cut out at halftime, trailing 19-0.
I think first of all they got to really settle down offensively and decide, what's going to work for them and what formations are best suited for them. And then also on defense, just getting ready a little bit quicker. Bettendorf's just kind of beating them off the line. They're getting momentum going and knocking the Knights back. Assumption, for them to get in this game, Pete, this first drive I think is going to be very important to them. If they can take the second half kickoff, go down and get a score, they have a chance to be back in the game.
Bettendorf will kick it off. Donnie Connor will be set to put his foot into the ball. Mitchell and Ehrman back deep at the 5-yard line. Again, a couple scores to pass around. The Cubs 2, Braves 0, bottom of the second. Clinton at the end of 1 was leading Muscatine 6-0, and I think I might have given out the wrong score. We heard from Scott Harding at Augustano, assistant baseball coach. Alleman 7, Galesburg 0 at the half.
And did you give the North Scott?
No, what was that?
North Scott at halftime 20, Davenport North 0.
North.
Well, you watch this game here, Pete, and Bettendorf came out. They looked just like they did against Davenport North in the first half. They came out. They had a very good offensive game plan, and they executed it extremely well. And these guys like Rickman and Hoffman, McCabe, McVeigh, and Gableman, they're doing a super job of blocking.
I believe I see Ed Langford walking down the steps here on the Bettendorf side.
Yeah, he's here to, even though he's an old Assumption Knight and he's coached on the Assumption staff in the past, I'm sure he's also here to watch his nephew play.
Maybe he'll be a steam wheeler assistant next year if we have a team, maybe not.
Wow.
Mitchell takes the kickoff at the 5-yard line and gets plummeled right near the 7-yard line. It was a squib kick, and the Knights had trouble handling the football.
Well, one thing with these squib kicks this week, Pete, that we're seeing is that Donnie Connor is getting them deeper, and they're bouncing all around, and the Assumption return guys are really struggling with it. And if Mitchell fields that one clean, he has a chance. But once you get the bobble, then you get a little bit panic mode in.
1st and 10, 11:53 to play in the third quarter. Knights with the ball. Mitchell bounces it outside, tries to cut it up to the numbers, and is going to slip at the 15-yard line. Nice gain on first down. Bettendorf 19, Assumption 0. How did they get there? Well, Chris Mahosky got the scoring started with a 27-yard field goal midway through the first quarter. And in the second quarter, the Knights had a 1-yard touchdown option run by Ryan Fick and a 29-yard run by Jake Carter to lead 17-0. Then they blocked a punt at the Assumption 5-yard line. Assumption recovered it in their end zone for the 2-point safety. 19-0 is our score. 11:15 on the counter tray, and just too many Bulldogs in the backfield for that one to work for the Knights. They will lose a yard on the play. The ball carrier was number 24, Mike Brantner.
Well, their counter plays or misdirection plays haven't worked at all in IP, and I think a lot of it is because of penetration of the Bettendorf defensive line. They're just not allowing those plays. Plus, on the counters, there's a little bit of mistiming in the Assumption backfield. They continue to kind of run into each other at times on the exchange.
3rd down and 5. Conklin drops back to pass. Down the field, and the receiver quit the route. Because I think he thought Conklin was going to take off and run with it. Receiver was number 2, Matt Finley. So it's going to be 4th down for the Knights, and they're going to go 3 and out on their first drive.
Well, in the scramble situations, receivers have 2 choices, Pete. If the guy is behind them, they're going to come back hard, and they only needed 5 yards. Or do they go deep if the guy's in front of them? And Finley just kind of stood around and didn't help Conklin much on that play.
Again, punting from the 5-yard line are the Knights. This time to get it away to Jackson. Jackson at his own 48. Will head to the sideline. He's got a row of blockers. If he can bounce it out to the 40, to the 35, to the 30, to the 25, still on his feet at the 20, to the 15-yard line. Excellent effort on the play by Tim Jackson. 1st down and 10 for the Bulldogs. It'll be at the Knights' 15-yard line.
Well, you got a lot of guys diving at Jackson, and I've watched Jackson's feet now for 3 or 4 games, and they're very fast, very quick. And if you don't run through your tackle and lock up on him, he's going to make you look silly, and that's exactly what he did to the Assumption punt team there.
1st and 10. They'll come out in the Veer series formation. Actually, the jet sweep formation, as Jackson will get the ball over right tackle. He'll take it to the 10, to the 5-yard line. Just a good-looking play by the Knights. Looks like they pulled a couple of linemen and had a nice line surge and did the right things.
Yeah, Bettendorf linemen are really executing the plays, and Bettendorf has excellent ball faking in the backfield, and they're just getting out in front. Assumption penetrated that time. The linemen are trapping them, and Jackson continues to find the holes.
And this is not the same Bettendorf offense that we saw to start the season late in August against Pleasant Valley. Not at all. 1st and goal. Jackson over right tackle, moving the pile toward the goal line. Is he in the end zone? No, but he's close.
You know, in their loss over North Scott, you know, I think the Bettendorf coaching staff really challenged their players, and you know, they had the mistakes against North Scott in the second half where they had the lead and then had the fumble recoveries, 2 interceptions, and you aren't going to win games by turning over the ball. And right now, Bettendorf has played flawlessly the whole night, Pete.
I formation, 2nd down in about 2 feet. The quick pitch goes to Jackson. Jackson strings it out, finds a crease, into the end zone. Tim Jackson's first touchdown run of the night. A 1-yard run at the 9:19 mark of the third quarter. That'll push the Bulldog lead to 25-0. We'll see which kicker they elect to bring in for the extra point. It's Donnie Connor, number 8.
Well, Assumption, right now are in trouble, Pete. They needed a good first half drive. They didn't get it. They let Jackson get loose on a punt return. And because of that, now they're down 26-0.
Yep, Connor's kick up and good. Let's take a 1-minute timeout. Bettendorf 26, Assumption 0. It's MAC football here on WOC Talk Radio 1420. Donnie Connor on the kickoff. It's a squib kick taken at the 18-yard line by the Knights. He'll cross the 20 to the 25-yard line before he is brought down on the play.
One thing about Bettendorf, they don't make a lot of wholesale substitutions even on their special teams. And that time, you had Anger and Tommy Langford again down there covering kicks and did a super job. And again, Assumption doesn't have great field position to start another drive, Pete.
1st and 10 for the Knights. We'll see if they can amount a scoring drive here, get them on the scoreboard. They trail 26-0 to the Bulldogs. 9:15 to play in the third quarter as Conklin sees nothing, takes off, and he's got a first down, a nice 15-yard gain for the Knights. So it'll be 1st and 10 for Assumption.
Well, I don't know if that was a quarterback draw play or not. If it was a good call. It got a little bit of Bettendorf's pressure after it. But Bettendorf linebackers do a nice job of stepping up to the line, stepping off, showing a fake blitz, and then coming off their movement. And, they're pretty active, and they're causing a lot of problems for the Knights.
1st and 10. Under 9 minutes to play in the third quarter. 26-0 the score, all Bulldogs. 4 receiver set for the Knights. Conklin drops back to pass under a lot of pressure. Hit as he throws the ball. The ball's going to go incomplete. The pressure applied by, is that 37?
Well, they came off the edge again, and that might have been Carter coming off the edge, 35. And they came back with the 7- and 8-man blitz. Once again, they've been guessing right because when they're blitzing, Assumption's always in a 3- or 5-step drop. And that's a good job by the Bettendorf's coaches of, trying to get tendencies and knowing when to blitz.
2nd down and 10 for the Knights. As again, they'll go 2 split ends, 2 slots with a tight end. Conklin drops back to pass over the middle, incomplete, intended for Mitchell. Mitchell just a little bit too in front of him to make the play. The pass led him on a little too strong. So just like that, it's going to be 3rd and 10 for the Knights.
Well, you continue to watch Pat Anger. He has tremendous speed for a linebacker in high school, Pete, and that time he came on the blitz, and he keeps getting penetration, and Joe Conklin is throwing off rhythm. That time he tried to get the ball to the hot receiver, which was Mitchell, but because of the pressure, he just didn't have time to complete that pass.
3rd and 10. This time they'll line up Mitchell in the backfield, bring Ehrman in motion. Conklin on the sprint out. And the pass is going to be picked off on the play nicely by number 2, Adam Behrens. And the ball was deflected off of the hands, I think, of Joe Hoeksema.
Yeah, Hoeksema ran his route, Pete, and Conklin was being chased again. And Bettendorf's pass rush has been excellent, and they continue to bring pressure. Parker Quill forcing Conklin to pull up, throw off the run, and ball tipped. Excellent interception by the Bulldogs.
1st and 10 for the Bulldogs after a great interception, as they'll go to a pass completed to Ivory. Ivory all alone across the 50 to the 45, has a first down to the 42-yard line.
Right now the Bettendorf Bulldogs are going through their playbook, Pete, and on that play, that was just your typical wide receiver screen and very soft coverage there by the Knights. And if they continue to get that soft a coverage, they'll come back to that play again.
8:15 to play in the third quarter. Bulldogs 26, Knights 0. First and 10 for Bettendorf at the Assumption 41-yard line. I formation, 3 receiver set. Yusef Messiah in motion down the line of scrimmage. They'll throw it to him, and he eludes one tackler to the 35 to the 30, brought down from behind on the play by Ted Bettler.
Well, Assumption was right there to make the play. The Assumption defender, Joe Huxama, just slipped and fell. And you got to be able to make open field tackles on the bubble screen that time. And, you know, Bettendorf read the soft coverage, came with it. Assumption defended it correctly, but they're just missing their tackles now.
Second down and short for the Bulldogs. The Knights have a little trouble getting their defensive formation correct. Jackson up the middle. He's going to be stood right near the 30-yard line by a host of Knight tacklers. He might have enough for a first down.
Assumption did a good job. It was a short yardage play, and they dented it, but Bettendorf still got a nice surge there, enough to get the first down. Bentler was around for the tackle, and once again, Bettendorf's offense is just, you know, in sync, doing the little things right, and executing very well tonight.
First down and 10 for the Bulldogs. 7:10 to play in the third quarter. 26-0 the score. Bulldogs over the Knights. I formation. Fick back to pass. Open receiver is Ivory in the flat. Ivory stops, looks around, takes it upfield. Hit hard on the play by the wide corner for Assumption. He'll pick up a gain of just 2 or 3 yards as Ivory is slow to get up on the play.
Well, that was a good hustle play by the Assumption secondary. Both Finley and Craddock were out there that time, and that's how you defend the short pass. You got to make sure you get the open field tackle and then let everybody else rally to the ball.
The referee stop play as Ivory's going to have to come out for at least a play as he jogs off, and he's not quite, it looks like he's pointing at his left knee.
Well, Pete, don't forget about the Hungry Hobo. They have 11 convenient Quad-City locations, including the new store at 4810 Elmore Avenue in Davenport. Maxwell Transmission specialist with over 20 years experience. And how about Eastern Iowa Community College, building bridges to your future. They're all proud sponsors of MAC Conference football.
Bettendorf a little unsure about the play. Ryan Fick takes a timeout. We'll remind listeners tomorrow right here on WOC, the Hawkeyes kick off at 2:30 against Michigan. The pregame will be at 12:30 with Jim Albrecht right here on WOC. Illinois fans, your game, your kickoff against Purdue is at 2:30 over on WKBF AM 1270. St. Ambrose at home tomorrow at Brady Street Stadium, 1 o'clock against Olivet Nazarene. Augustana at home.
Yeah, against
North Central tomorrow. Kickoff 1 o'clock.
1 o'clock, and for Ambrose and Augie, those are their first conference games that counts on their way to qualify for the playoffs.
Also on Fox Sports Radio, 12:30, Monday Night Football, Indianapolis at Tampa Bay. That game Monday night at 8 p.m. Also, don't forget all Major League Baseball playoff games over on Fox Sports Radio, AM 1230. Second down and 8 as Rizzo this time will go in motion down the line of scrimmage. Jackson up the middle on the keeper. He's going to lose about 3 yards on the play, so it'll be third down and long for the Bulldogs.
The Assumption defense stepped up that time. Butler again. Along with Highland, they were right in there, made a nice tackle, brings up 3rd and 11, and that's what Assumption has to continue to do. Assumption has to keep playing here, Pete, because if they don't keep playing, it's going to get ugly. But the last couple downs, they look like they were hustling and trying to get back in this game.
3rd and 12, 6 minutes to play in the third quarter, 26-0 the score. Bettendorf leads Assumption as Fick drops the ball on the snap. He's going to pick it up and he's going to run with it, and he's going to lose about 7 yards on the play. And what he probably should have done is thrown it away on that play. But he was under some heavy pressure.
He was fortunate to pick it up. And once he picked it up, he scrambled for his life. He did a good job of holding on the ball and not turning it over. That's probably the only thing Bettendorf's done wrong tonight right there, Pete. They fumbled the snap. And one thing about this Butler kid from Assumption, he keeps continuing to play hard, and he's showing up. Ryan Butler, 6'2", 230, is a senior. Nice-looking player for Assumption.
Donnie Connor will punt it from his own, from the 50-yard line on 4th and long for the Bulldogs. He's going to hang this one high in the air. Beautiful punt. It's going to drop right at the goal line and goes in about 3 yards deep. So it's going to be a touchback for the Knights as Connor just a little too strong on the punt, but he had the right idea.
Well, when Bettendorf isn't getting everything done correctly, Pete, they keep executing their kicking game on the kickoffs or extra points, and that time, another solid punt. Assumption hasn't had very good field position this entire game.
5:03 to play in the third quarter. It's been all Bettendorf Bulldogs here. They lead 26-0 over the Assumption Knights. Bettendorf looking to go 4-1 on the season. Mitchell up the middle, just nothing doing, as he is tackled by a host of Bulldog defenders. It's going to be second down and long for the Knights.
Well, yeah, Langford and Anger there again. Tommy Langford's all over the place, and he's not a real big kid for Bettendorf at all, Pete. He's a 6 foot 210 kid, and if they say 6 foot, that usually means they're 5'9", and he's been really active for the Bettendorf defense.
John, this game is being taped on Family Ties Production. Jess is not here, but his daughter Missy is with us. This game you can see Wednesday at 8 p.m. The Bettendorf and Assumption game. He's got two other games we'll tell you about after this play. As Conklin rolls out to the wide side, finds a guy in stride, caught at the 40-yard line, taken out of bounds near the 50-yard line is Ben Ehrman. So a nice pitch and catch for the Knights. A crew for Family Ties Production is also at Galesburg and Alleman. You can see that game tomorrow at 8 p.m. And Wednesday you'll be able to see Augustana and North Central at 8 p.m. All those games here on Mediacom Channel 19. That's Family Ties Production.
That was a good-looking play for the Knights there. They ran a bootleg play. In Bettendorf's defense, they wind their defensive ends that contain Conklin, and that time they got him pinned inside. Conklin had time to throw, and he threw it right there. Good pass to Ehrman.
1st and 10 for the Knights near midfield. They'll hand it off to Ehrman. Ehrman over right tackle will have a gain about a yard. We are under 4 minutes to play in the third quarter. The Bulldogs lead 26-0 over the Knights.
Bettendorf continues to do a great job on defense, and they keep changing personnel by down and distance. Aaron Wiley, the defensive coordinator, has a very good defensive game plan here tonight, and he continues to confuse the Assumption's offense.
2nd down and 8. Knights line up in a double slot formation with the receiver and a running back. Conklin rolls out. He's going to be under pressure. He's going to be twisted and dragged down. And the ball, I guess, is loose on the ground. Nope, the referee is going to blow it dead as our buddy Pat Anger was in on the stop. It's going to be 3rd and long. And, John, I've been working on our all-conference, all-name squad.
Well, the Anger, Pete and I have kind of laughed about that because Cliff Anger met us at the gate tonight and told us how to pronounce the name. But when the name is spelled A-N-G-E-R, that's hard to come up. It
looks like Anger. It really does.
It's hard to come up with Anger. So
well, I apologize.
Yeah.
We'll get it right tonight, Cliff, and we did. Pat Anger. I've also got Yusef Messiah on the team, obviously. A guy I really like, Ramondo Rodriguez. I think that's a great name from North. 3rd and long for the Knights. We'll get back to the all-name team here in a second. Joe Conklin drops back to pass. Looks like he was trying to put together a throwback screen, and Mitchell catches it and is going to be dragged down right near the original line of scrimmage. John, some other guys on the team, Ezekiel Davis, Javen Lovelady, and from North Scott, 2 guys we haven't seen this year, but Dallas Kowitzel and Keel Kuwala. And the captain of the team, your favorite name and mine, from West,
Johnny Wisdom.
4th down for the Knights. Brandner into punt. He'll get it away quickly. Nice spiral punt. Jackson Fair catches it, but he drops the ball, and he pounces on it. So Bettendorf will have it at their own 22-yard line. 1st and 10. 2:11 to play in the third quarter. Bettendorf 26, Assumption 0. John, what do you got?
Well, if you need your eyes improved, Pete, which some nights we do up here, improve your focus at Anderson and Brown Eye Care, Coral Ridge Mall, Coralville, and North Park Mall, Davenport. And how about Molinol Insurance for all your insurance and financial needs? The only name you need to know is Molinol.
Ryan Fick and the Bulldog offense back onto the field. Yusef Messiah in motion down the line of scrimmage. Fick drop back to pass, look down the field. He's under a lot of pressure, picks up a couple of big blocks, and he is still on his feet across to the 30-yard line. Oh, a nice job by Fick. I mean, he's pretty good. I mean, just a junior, so he's going to have a whole nother season to mature, but he could mature into a pretty nice college-style quarterback.
And they do have a lot of nice-looking juniors on this team. And one thing about Assumption that they can improve on is just their open field tackling. They don't come to balance. They leave their feet early, and they're always reaching up high on guys' shoulder pads, Pete. And it's tough to tackle guys. They're strong up there.
On the second down play, a running back up the middle. I think Vic kept it himself.
Yeah, there was a quarterback draw, it looked like, on that short yardage play. My feelings there is that you got the good running backs. You don't need to beat up your quarterback. Let's get it handed off and try and get the first down.
So it'll be third down and very short for the Bulldogs. Two receivers set, I formation in the backfield. Vic under center. Turns around, hands it off to Carter. Carter over right tackle. Big gainer on the play, about 12 yards. It'll be 1st and 10 at the 45 for the Bulldogs.
Yeah, Bettendorf continues to just pound the ball, and anytime they've ran straight ahead out of that ISO play to the two-man side has been a big play for him all year.
3 minutes to play in the third quarter. 26-0 the score. Bulldogs on top of the Knights. 1st and 10 from the 45 for Bettendorf. I formation. Fick to the fullback, Rizzo. Rizzo plunges ahead for a gain of about a yard.
The one thing you continue to see here, Bettendorf has had the ball a lot tonight, Pete, and because of that, they're given different looks. They're getting through their playbook. They're adding a little bit new formations, new wrinkles. Those plays don't always work, but what happens is whoever has their film for the next week has to practice against those plays.
Right. Second down and long for Bettendorf. Fick this time back to pass. Hits Ivory on a little stop pattern. Ivory makes the first guy miss and is still on his feet, dragging Assumption tacklers to the 40-yard line of the Knights. And he'll have a first down. And it looks like we have somebody down on the turf.
The Assumption secondary, Pete, right now have really struggled tonight on open field tackling. They've been awful soft on the corners, on the hitch routes and things like that, and they're just going to have to improve. They got some young guys out there, but football's still blocking and tackling, and Assumption definitely needs to improve their tackling skills.
Well, there's an injured Knight on the turf. I couldn't quite tell who it was. And I thought at first it was Michael Mitchell, but I see him on the sideline. It's a DB.
It could be Joe Huxama, number
that's
1.
What I'm thinking too.
And there was a big pile up there in the middle, and I don't know if he got blocked or just slipped. Sometimes, your legs go different directions, and that isn't always good.
Our next game, next Friday, October 10th, could be a pretty big one. North Scott at Assumption from Brady Street Stadium.
Yeah, North Scott obviously was playing well against North tonight. The last score we had was North Scott 20, North 0. North Scott is one of those teams that they do have some nice looking players, especially with Logan and Klawitzel as nice big targets to throw to. So it looks like Joe Hudson right now is getting up on his own, a little bit of maybe an ankle sprain. Hopefully Joe's going to be okay.
He'll be taken off under the aid of Bob Cunningham, the trainer for the Knights from Orthopedics and Rheumatology
Yeah, and let's
Associates.
thank Orthopedic and Rheumatology Associates. Excellence in sports medicine. They do a great job for the area athletes.
It'll be 1st down and 10 for the Bulldogs. 7 seconds to go in the quarter. We'll try and update you on some scores during the break. We'll try and get a Cubs score and maybe some update, some football scores. Check in and see how the Pioneers are doing over at Augustana. Maybe we'll have an update on the Muscatine-Clinton game. And that'll do it. Referees will put the clock in play, and the fourth quarter has come. Bulldogs 26, Knights 0. We'll come back with the start of the fourth quarter. It's MAC football here on WOC Talk Radio 1420. To start the fourth quarter of action here from Tuvel Stadium, Bettendorf leads 26-0 over Assumption. Ryan Fick dropped back to pass. He hits Yusef Messiah in the flat. Messiah needed to get across the 30-yard line for a first down. He's going to be held a little bit shy. It'll be second down and 10. We do have some scoring updates to pass along. Muscatine has scored. It is now 7-6 midway through the second quarter. Muscatine 7, Clinton 6, and Burlington got on the scoreboard first against Central. Burlington 3, Central 0, nearing the end of the first quarter. And at Wrigley Field in the top of the fifth, Cubs 2, Braves 0.
Go Cubbies.
Go Cubbies. Second down and 3. Fick back to pass again. Looks one way, comes back the other. Penalty flags on the play. It's too far, intended for Yusef Messiah. And the referee is, I believe this is going to go against the Bulldogs. That's a good looking play.
Well, you saw Fick's arm strength. What they wanted to do out here was run the hitch and go, and he saw that was covered off the pump fake, and he just turned to the backside, and he threw the ball good distance across the field. Very strong arm by Fick, and looks like Bettendorf's going to get called for a procedure there.
Yep.
Or an illegal shift.
Illegal shift called against the Bulldogs. It'll take them just 5 yards back, so it's going to be second down. And I think 7 or 8 on the play for Bettendorf. This will move them back to their Assumption 37-yard line. I formation in the backfield, 2 receivers with the tight end. Jake Carter up the middle. Carter's had a nice game at tailback. He'll have no gain on the play. As we got 11 minutes to play in this ball game. Assumption has put together 2 or 3 really nice drives, but once they get inside the red zone, they go backward instead of forward. And Bettendorf has been able to capitalize on their mistakes en route to a 26-0 lead here as we start the fourth quarter.
You know, Assumption hasn't had too many stops, and the one time they did stop Bettendorf ran the fake punt on him.
Yeah. Fick with a nice play-action fake. Under pressure, he's going to hit Rizzo right in the hands, up by his helmet, and he couldn't hang on to it.
Just hit Rizzo in a bad spot there, Pete. He was kind of, you know how fullbacks are, and he threw that all the way across the field. He had too much time to think about it. But again, you know, Fick came out, play action pass. He looked to, you know, to the deep receiver, and he came back to a short receiver, which he didn't do a couple weeks ago. So he's definitely improving. But in this game, he's getting a lot of opportunities to improve.
It's going to be fourth down for the Bulldogs, 4th and 6. It would be about a 52-yard field goal. They were pass on that. As Fick will drop back to pass, he's got 3 receivers out, and I think he was mixed up on the play to Thomas Davis. Davis curled in, and Fick threw it a curl out, and it wasn't there.
Well, Kevin Wakovich, he's from Augustana College. He's a receiver coach. He wanted me to say something nice about him tonight. So I'll say, Kevin, we need to straighten up those routes. But Kevin, his claim to fame at Augustana, he caught 1 pass in his career at tight end.
Really?
Yeah, 1.
Was that his freshman year or
No,
senior
year?
1st and 10 for the Knights. They'll go with a handoff on a counter play to Matt Brumfield. Brumfield, nothing. And I've seen Assumption play twice, and both times against Muscatine and Bettendorf, they just have not been able to run the football on a consistent basis.
You know, right now, Kevin Frecking coaches the defensive line for Bettendorf, and Mick Seifert handles the linebackers. And, you know, they've got these guys fired up. They're running guys in and out. You know, they're mixing with size and speed. Their linebackers are fast to the ball. And if you can stop the run in high school football and force the other team to have to throw the ball, usually you're going to win those games.
Second down and 12 for the Knights. Under 10 minutes to play in the ball game. The Knights trail the Bulldogs 26-0. This play is going to be called dead. The left tackle flinched on the play. It's going to go back 5 yards. Talking about Kevin Frecking, I need to thank him too. He gave me a beautiful Bulldog winter stocking hat. It's all black and it says dogs in yellow on it, and it's something I'm going to wear every morning when I walk around Vanderveer Park.
Well, Kevin designed that hat, Pete, and he has trouble spelling bulldog, so he just went with dogs. And in Kevin's case, I totally agree with his selection on that hat. Kevin's a great guy.
Yes, he is.
Well, Assumption needs to get something going. Second and extremely long here, about 20 yards, Pete, isn't it?
Second down and 18, we'll call it. I formation with a 3-receiver look for the Knights. Mitchell up the middle. Gets a yard back, but not much more. It's going to be third down and long. And John, we kind of complained in second and third week of the year about Central and how many offensive looks they had, and if they just went with one thing, how much better they would be. And they came back to North the next week and did it right. I'm kind of thinking the same thing as here about Assumption's offense.
Well, Assumption has a lot of formations, and early in the game, Pete, they had things rolling, and they had Bettendorf a little bit confused. Mitchell popped some runs and all of a sudden, a couple bad plays, and Bettendorf's defense responded to everything.
Third down and long. Conklin under pressure, and he's going to go down quickly on the play. Loses 6 yards, and number 31, Chris Walker, will get the sack.
Well, when you get the score to be 26-0, your defensive coordinator is going to really get it cranked up, and they're just coming with pressure. And every time they brought pressure, they've gotten a big play from it.
And Randy Scott directs Tim Jackson to the 35-yard line, tells him to fair catch it if he can. Punt is going to bounce at the 45, and it's going to roll to the 35, 34-yard line where it will be down by Mike Mitchell. We got 8 minutes to play in the ball game. Our score is Bettendorf 26, Assumption 0. I'm going to wager that it's been a long time since the Knights were kept off the scoreboard totally.
Well, they still got 8 minutes to go, and you'd like to think Assumption can try and get a drive going, but the problem is Bettendorf has the ball again, and they eat up the clock, and they've been moving it pretty well tonight, and they've had the ball a long time.
First and 10, Yusef Messiah in motion. They'll go with Rizzo off the right tackle. Off the left tackle, Rizzo will have an 8-yard gain down to the 44-yard line of the Bulldogs. So Bettendorf on the right foot on first down.
Bettendorf continues to show a few different wrinkles, a few more running plays of Rizzo. We've seen a halfback pass. We've seen a fake punt. And Randy Scott is going to give the rest of the teams in the league a lot to prepare for him after they see this film.
Under 8 minutes to play in the ball game. Second down and 1. Bulldogs lead 26-0. Rizzo up the middle again, untouched till the 50-yard line where he is tackled on the play by number 51 of the Knights, Keegan Brennan.
Yeah, right now Bettendorf's offensive line, they took over the game early. They continue to do it, and they're doing it by getting their shoulder pads underneath the Assumption defensive line shoulder pads and just getting movement. And the Bettendorf backs are quick, and if you give them seams and creases, they're going to, get plus yardage all the time.
First and 10 for the Knights. Tim Jackson on the sweep, plenty of blockers if he can break a tackle. Still on his feet as he twists and turns around. He'll be brought down near the 42-yard line of the Knights.
Bettendorf's offense, Pete, continues to go in series. This time, they're working on their jet sweep series, and they continue to work on different things here, and they're mixing the ball up. They're keeping Jackson, maybe not touching too many times, and giving Rizzo, a chance to pound, get some yardage also.
Second down and 4, 6:40 to play in the football game. Their jet sweep series formation with the slot, a wide receiver, as Fick will start Yusef Messiah in motion. He's going to give it to Rizzo, and Rizzo is going to breaks the tackle behind the line of scrimmage, and he's going to have a first down for Bettendorf.
Once again, Assumption's tackling's definitely got to improve. They had good penetration that time by Casey Wright, but you got to wrap up on these Bulldogs back because they're tough to bring down.
First and 10 for the Bulldogs, and Ryan Fick will have him in the huddle to break him out, and then he'll look over to the sidelines, and they're going to eat up as much clock as possible, and he will wait until the coach says, okay, run the play. As he stands near center, glances over, the coach tells him, okay, go. As they run another sweep with Jackson. This time he's going to be brought down near the line of scrimmage, as he was just dragging a couple of tacklers with him.
Well, Butler was there again, Keegan Brennan and Bentler, and I've really been impressed on how Butler's played. He's been all over the place tonight for Assumption. He's been the one bright spot for him defensively.
Second down and 9 for the Bulldogs. 5:30 to play in the football game. They lead 26-0. It's been all Bettendorf tonight, folks. 19-0 was the score at half. As Fick waits and waits, they'll run the clock down, the play clock down, as far as it will go. And then they'll run the jet sweep with Messiah. Messiah breaks a couple of tackles, still dancing in the middle of the field. Penalty flags on the play.
Well, Messiah showed a little shake and bake that time. I don't know if it was a holding call or a face mask. It looks like Bettendorf's backing up. You know, one thing that Bettendorf does here, the reason why they hold their play, Pete, is that, like you brought up, the 25-second clock, and they know exactly when, and they're probably telling them, you know, to get up on the huddle and snap the ball with about 5 seconds left. And look at the amount of time. They continue to pile up time of possession tonight.
Holding called against the Bulldogs.
Holding the call against Bettendorf. That'll push them back 10 yards. It'll be 2nd down and 19 with 5:07 to play in the ball game. They lead 26-0.
You know, one thing that Assumption wants, especially Wade King, you know, he wants these guys to get a stop, get something going, and keep playing hard. And that's the one thing you can always do in football, Pete, from whistle to whistle, is to play as hard as you can and pursue the ball.
Vic in the I formation. Jackson on a counter play. Jackson breaks the tackle at the 45 down to the 39-yard line before he is brought down close to the original line of scrimmage. It'll be 3rd down.
You know, the more you watch Jackson at the beginning of the year against the PB defense, he looked a little tentative, but once again, he's a junior, and that time he ran very well with the shoulder pads over the ball. He has very quick feet, and the key to running backs is that you fall forward, and he does that a lot.
3rd down and 13 for the Bulldogs. Clock running, 4 minutes to play in the football game. Big lead for the Bulldogs, 26-0 over the Knights. Vic waits, and then he goes under center. Jake Carter up the middle. Carter breaks the tackle across the 35-yard line.
Well, Pete, this continues to be all Bettendorf Bulldogs, and they're doing a good job of mixing up their running backs. This Carter kid is a very tough kid too. He's played excellent on defense. The offensive line from Bettendorf's enjoying this. They've had the ball most of the game. They're getting better and better. You know, Pleasant Valley, kind of dominated them in the first ball game, and since then they have vastly improved.
On 4th down, the Bulldogs will go for it. It's 4th and 7. We got 3.5 to play in the ball game. Offset I formation, power sweep for Carter. Carter decides to switch it back, and he is going to be gone. Jukes somebody at the 25-yard line into the end zone. Touchdown, Jake Carter, a 34-yard run.
Well, Pete, that's a great job by Carter. That was all Carter on that play. It was stopped at the line of scrimmage, makes the cut back on the run. But right now what you have is a tired Assumption defense, and you got a fresh legs in Carter at the running back position. And he's a strong kid. He made that one look easy, Pete.
Donnie Connor in to try the point after touchdown attempt. Kick is up, and it is good. 3:07 to play in the ball game. Our new score is 33-0. Bettendorf over Assumption. Let's take a 1-minute timeout. It's MAC football here on WOC Talk Radio 1420. 3:07 to play in the ball game. Chris Mahosky will be in to do the kickoff. The kickoff's taken by Ehrman right near the 10-yard line. He slips, regains his footing up the field in the middle, and taken down about the 21-yard line. Our score is 33-0 in what traditionally has been a great rivalry over the last 15 years. Actually, the last 14 years, these two teams have played 10 times. Once in the regular season and once again in either the first or the second round of the playoffs. And 33-0 the score. Bettendorf on top.
Well, the Bettendorf's line, both offensive and defensively, has played extremely well tonight, and that's been the difference in the game.
1st and 10. And Assumption's going to take a timeout. They're mixed up on offense. Let's take another 1-minute break. Our score 33-0. Bettendorf leading Assumption. It's MAC football here on WOC Talk Radio 1420.
Groundskeeper, supervisor.
First and 10 for the Knights. Nobody in the backfield. A 4-receiver set. Quick pass to Ehrman. Ehrman gets out of bounds. Ooh, right near the 27, 28-yard line.
Well, Pete, I think they brought in Johnny Powers now in as their quarterback, number 8. He was their starting quarterback at the beginning of the year. He's a senior. He's probably a little bit better drop-back passer than Conklin, and they're going to run their 2-minute offense right now.
So John Powers in at quarterback for the Knights. Another 3-receiver set. Nobody in the backfield. 2 tight ends. And Ehrman on the same play, this little 5-yard out pattern. This time he's going to be tackled inbounds. So the clock will continue. Actually, they'll stop it because they'll move the chains to first down. 2:48 to play in the ball game. Bettendorf 33, Assumption 0. It's been all Bulldogs.
Well, Powers has come in and completed 2 for 2. He's doing a good job of running the spread offense, and Bettendorf is going to try and tighten up here, but Ehrman has the speed to run by the Bettendorf corners.
First and 10. Powers under pressure hits Irwin again. Ehrman another 4 or 5-yard gain. And Bettendorf will gladly give that up as long as it'll give up the big play.
Well, what Ehrman hasn't learned yet, Pete, when you throw the hitch routes, you want to catch it and turn outside, and then you got only the defensive back that can tackle to you, and if you explode through his upfield shoulder, you have a chance to get more positive yards and possibly get out of bounds.
Second down and 5 for the Knights. Up the field, Mitchell, a single coverage, catches it at the 50 across to the 46-yard line. So it'll be first down Knights.
Well, Powers is 4 for 4. He did a nice job. He looked off to Ehrman's side and hit Mitchell on the run. And John Powers, even though the score is 33-0, he's making the most of his playing time right now.
And we still have the first team defense and offense on both sides. And it looks like the Bulldogs have taken a timeout. Let's take another 1-minute break. 33-0 the score. Bettendorf leads Assumption. It's MAC football here on WOC Talk Radio 1420. Powers under some pressure. It's going to be tipped and intercepted on the play. And the interception is going to go to number 14, Matt Kingsley. Just checked into the ball game.
Well, Powers was trying to make a play, Pete, and he saw an open receiver, but the Bettendorf's pressure got to him there, and so he had to step up and throw off balance. And when you throw off balance, that's exactly what happens. But Assumption could get a break here. There's a holding call against Bettendorf, so I don't know if they were holding a receiver. And that's exactly what they were. Well,
maybe holding came
after the
interception.
That's probably what happened, because now the Bettendorf offense goes back on the field.
So Kingsley credited with the interception on the tip pass. So it'll be first and 10 for the Bulldogs. They'll mark it back. Bulldogs 16-yard line.
Interception.
Well, right now I would assume you're going to see substitutions for Bettendorf offense. It looks like Thomas Davis, who's now their backup quarterback, plays some receiver, is in there, and he's probably just going to turn and hand the ball off.
First and 10. Thomas Davis hands it off to the tailback. Tailback up the middle for a gain of a couple of yards. Check the number on him. Number 28. Tim, Camarenia. Remember him from last week.
Yeah, Tim played a little bit at the end of the game last week for Bettendorf. Well, Pete, continue to give credit to the Bettendorf's offense and defensive line. They were the big difference in the game, and you win the game in the trenches. And Bettendorf's really dominated the fronts on both sides of the ball.
Second down and 8 for the Knights. Davis will run this clock out as we got a minute to go in the ball game. Bettendorf will win 33-0 as subs come in for the Knights.
Well, for Bettendorf, you look at this film and say, hey, we got better from a week ago. They did everything right. Their running game was superb. Their play-action pass was excellent. They had a few breakdowns on pass protection. I'm sure Randy Scott will continue to work on that. And for Assumption, they got to get their offense going, especially the running game, and they got to become better tacklers on defense.
Fumble on the play, but it looks like Camarina will get it back. It's going to be 4th down for the Bulldogs, but they can let this one run out. We got 20 seconds to go. Bulldogs will go to 4-1 on the year, and the Knights will drop to 3-2, and it's not going to get any easier for the Knights. They still have to play Pleasant Valley. They still have to play Central. They still have to play North Scott. The North Scott game is what we will have here on WOC next week as the clock hits 0, and that's the ball game. Bettendorf is won 33-0 over Assumption.